You know, sometimes being an adult just isn't that fun. We got bills to pay, we got jobs to go to, and perhaps most crushingly, we don't have brightly colored bowls of cereal to eat in the mornings anymore because we've just all convinced ourselves it's full of sugar, it's full of refined grains, and it's just gonna spike your blood sugar and ruin the rest of your morning. And for a lot of people, that is the reality, you know, once you're over 20, over 30, over 40, but Magic Spoon is trying to recapture the magic of childhood breakfast time. This is a cereal, but it's adult friendly. It has absolutely no gluten, grain, soy, wheat, artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners. It's high in protein, it's even keto friendly, and they swear up and down it tastes just like your favorite childhood morning cereal. So, does it pass the test? Well, today I've got all 4 flavors available. We've got cocoa, we have frosted, we have fruity, and we have cinnamon. I'm gonna try out some whole milk, see where we go. So here I've mixed 1 cup of cereal with half a cup of whole milk. I know some people will be against using actual milk with this cereal, but look, this comes to about 20 grams of protein, 10 grams of net carbohydrates, and 12 grams of fat. So like roughly half the calories are coming from fat, like it's pretty keto friendly. Anyway, let's see what this cocoa flavor tastes like. This is phenomenal. Cocoa, among the people I know who have tried this flavor, they say it's the best, so maybe I shouldn't have started with it, but I'm really impressed with this flavor here. So this is completely grain-free, like I mentioned. This is made with the milk protein isolate and whey protein. They put it together, and it still retains a very cereal-like crunch. It's not exactly like cereal, like a bit of it is, it sticks to the teeth a little bit more than actual grains would, but nonetheless, it is very crunchy and has a real flavor that's reminiscent of Cocoa Puffs or Cocoa Pebbles. It really is very impressive. It's decently fudgy. It's quite cocoa-y. It's a little bit malty. Off the bat, really happy with this. So the frosted flavor is pretty clearly a vanilla flavor. It's like a corollary to the cocoa flavor. So it is notably sweeter. When you have it with the whole milk, of course, it's nice and creamy and everything comes together quite well. When you have it with the dry cereal, it's quite a bit saltier than I was expecting. It has the same amount of sodium as all the other flavors, but it's a little bit saltier, and it's definitely on the sweeter side than the cocoa flavor. So if you've got a sweet tooth, and I happen to, you'll be happy with this. It's a crunchy vanilla pudding. All right, fruity flavor, let's go. Very interesting, very unusual. I knew going into this that fruity is the flavor I hear people complain about the most with this particular company. I should note they're planning on iterating the flavors over and over again, so this may not be the flavor that will always be on the market. What they're going for here is a sort of Fruit Loops type flavor. And if you've had Fruit Loops before, you know that no matter what color they are, they're all actually kind of the same flavor. I will say though that as you continue chewing it, the flavor that comes through, it gets a little bit more fluoride-y, like a little bit toothpastey, you know? So it's pretty impressive. Like it's better than I was expecting it to be. A lot of people said pretty bad things about this flavor. I'm a really big fan of it. Actually, I'm a big fan of Fruit Loops. It's quite sweet, it's quite fruity, tastes quite a lot like candy. But yeah, the aftertaste, just a little bit like toothpaste. So some people like that in the morning, some people don't. That's gonna be up to you. All right, the last flavor is cinnamon. Let's see what it tastes like. It tastes like cinnamon. They went very heavy on the cinnamon. This is less of a sort of mellow, creamy, sweet cinnamon flavor you might expect in like a Cinnamon Toast Crunch. This is really quite heavy on the cinnamon. It's almost like a spicy sweet sort of flavor. So if you're a big fan of cinnamon, this is gonna go down pretty well. It has like some sort of molassesy undertones as well. That said, I think of all the 4 flavors, this needs creaminess the most to help cut through the sort of sharpness of like the almost spicy cinnamon-like flavor. So this one, if you're having this with like almond milk or something like that, it might not go down quite as well as with whole milk. But I mean, everything goes down better with whole milk. All right, so ranking my favorite flavors, the best one was definitely cocoa, really good, really authentic. Frosted, I was also a really big fan of. It was a nice vanilla pudding type flavor. Cinnamon, pretty good. I'm a big fan of cinnamon. Definitely was better with the milk, but nonetheless, went down pretty well. And then finally the fruity flavor, it was all right. It just tasted a little bit like flavored toothpaste more than the other flavors. I liked it, but definitely that was not my absolute favorite. Best is definitely cocoa. All right, it looks like cereal, tastes quite a lot like cereal. The nutrition, nothing whatsoever like cereal. Let's take a look at the nutrition information, which is the same for all 4 flavors. So 1 serving is 3/4 of a cup. It's 110 calories. You're going to get 12 grams of protein, and it's complete protein as well, because it comes from dairy. 6 grams of fat with 5 grams of saturated fat, because the fat mostly comes from coconut oil. And the carbohydrates is 8 grams total, but there's 2 grams of fiber, and there's 3 grams of allulose. That's like a natural sugar-like compound. It's found in like raisins and figs and maple syrup. It has like really, really low amounts of, it has a very, very low effect on your blood sugar. And it also has very, very few calories as well. So it acts like sugar, but it isn't really absorbed the same way at all. But long story short, you get 8 grams of carbohydrates, 2 grams of fiber, 3 grams of allulose, so it's 3 grams of net carbohydrates all up. I'll say that one more time. This breakfast cereal has 12 grams of protein, 6 grams of fat, and 3 grams of net carbohydrates per serving, which is really remarkable, and it's going to fit into a wide range of diets, including the keto diet, which is what a lot of people are really excited about with this product. There's not much to talk about with micronutrients, besides the fact there's 26% of the recommended daily intake of calcium, which is pretty phenomenal, especially because a lot of people are going to be foregoing milk with this. But there's no vitamin D, no iron, no potassium, and it's just 2% of your daily sodium and 4% of your cholesterol. So this can fit into a pretty wide variety of diets. Now, the ingredients are also pretty much the same across the board. Like the fruity one has a bit of vegetable juice in it, cocoa has some cocoa, cinnamon has some cinnamon, but everything is broadly the same. First ingredient is the protein blend made from milk protein isolate and whey protein isolate. That stuff is very, very common in protein powders. It's like the protein from milk. Milk is casein and whey, so this has been processed to give you a really good hit of protein here. Next ingredient is coconut oil. So of course, it's like pretty high in saturated fats. It's got plenty of medium chain triglycerides as well, which could have some potential health benefits for digestive health and that sort of thing. Then there's some tapioca flour. There's the sweetener blend. That's allulose, as I mentioned earlier. There's also monk fruit extract and stevia extract, both natural sweeteners. There's some chicory root fiber. That's to help keep the fiber count up and the net carbohydrates low. Chicory root fiber is also prebiotic, which could potentially have digestive health benefits as well. Prebiotic fiber appears to sort of feed the probiotic bacteria in your digestive tract, which is kind of cool. And then there's some natural flavors and some salt. And that's it, that's everything. So in addition to having a really interesting macronutrient split that's gonna make it very favorable for people on low carbohydrate diets, ketogenic diets, high protein diets, this also has, to borrow a slogan, ingredients that you can pronounce. So it doesn't have really long, weird chemical names that you'll often find in like some low carbohydrate protein bars, for instance. So that's another thing a lot of people are gonna be happy about here. All right, I'm sure many of you have been watching this review and thinking, all right, maybe it tastes good, maybe it's keto friendly, but how much can this miracle cereal cost? It costs quite a bit of money. What happens is you get a box of 4 boxes, and that's gonna cost you about $39. So that comes to like almost $10 per box. Each box has 7 servings, so it's about $1.40 per serving, which is, definitely expensive for a breakfast cereal, but of course this is not at all a breakfast cereal, so you may find that price worth it. Good news is though, you can subscribe for regular shipments. If you do that, the price drops down by 10%, so it comes down to closer to $1.25 per serving. So, you might see that as a saving grace. All right, why should you consider trying out Magic Spoon? They're bringing cereal back to adulthood. It's a very welcome return. Obviously anyone can have any type of cereal they want at any time. It can fit into a well-rounded diet, blah, blah, blah. But look, most of us as adults, we feel like a bit of guilt consuming children's cereal because typically very high in refined carbohydrates, very high in sugar, very low in protein. Magic Spoon has come along and fixed all of those issues. The macronutrients are phenomenal, 12 grams of protein, good amount of fat, very few net carbohydrates. It's still very tasty, and it's gonna fit into a wide range of different diets as well. Good for keto, good for gluten-free, good for paleo, probably, if you're okay with the dairy. It's good for people who avoid artificial flavors and ingredients and sweeteners, the whole bunch. So it fits into a bunch of different diets, it's pretty tasty, and it really does go down just like cereal. Now there are some potential downsides of Magic Spoon. The first is that allulose, the reason a lot of people like it is because it's not absorbed by the body, not really anyway, like not a lot of it is absorbed. So it kind of passes through the body pretty easily while still being sweet when you consume it at first. That's a good thing. The bad thing is because it sort of passes right through the body, some people have difficulty digesting it. Now that's not everybody, that's not even the majority, it's a pretty small amount of people. But some people get like indigestion, bloating, gas, that sort of thing from allulose. So that might be you, it might not be, probably isn't, but it could be. So I'm just gonna point that out in case you have difficulty with these sorts of sweeteners in the past. Another thing, there's not that many vitamins and minerals in this product. A lot of like actual breakfast cereals out there are fortified with B vitamins, zinc, that sort of thing. That's not really the case here. Very low in vitamins and minerals, except for calcium, of which it has a pretty good amount. So that is an upside. A lot of people do not like the fruity flavor. That's the main complaint I've heard as far as the flavors go. I like all the flavors. I even like the fruity flavor. But yeah, it tastes a little bit like bubblegum toothpaste a little bit. Some people don't like it that much. Just pointing that out. The last thing I wanted to mention is that it's expensive. This is pretty expensive per bowl for a cereal. It sort of depends on how you cut it though, right? Because it's about $1.50-ish per bowl of cereal. Now for a bowl of cereal, that's expensive. For a breakfast, that's not that expensive at all, but of course, it's very low in calories. You're only getting about 110 calories per bowl, so not many people are going to be, satisfied with just 110 calories for breakfast. They're probably going to eat other stuff. Anyway, it depends on how you look at the issue, but nonetheless, comparing this against a bowl of cereal, yeah, it is on the pricey side. So that's something you have to kind of suck up if you're interested in all the potential benefits of the more adult-friendly macronutrients. All right, well, those are my thoughts on Magic Spoon. I'm pretty happy with this, all things considered. Macros are really good, pretty tasty. My favorite is the frosted, actually, I think it's pretty good. Cocoa, also very, very good. Kind of on the pricey side, but definitely worth it if your macros are very important to you and you miss the sweet, sweet childhood pleasure of having a big bowl of Frosty cereal. So the full written review, by the way, is in the description below. And if you're looking for the best protein powders on the market, make sure you Google my full roundup with BarBend Best Whey.